Hello Israel, Learn English podcast with Safa Shelley, the world's best language school. Let's go.
ברוכים הבאים לשפות שלי, בית ספר לאנגלית ושפות נוספות. אני אריאל, שמח להיות כאן איתכם היום שוב. Today we are making history. והפודקאסט של שפות שלי, היסטוריה. להראה, history. אני כאן עם ג'וש, אבל לא באמת כאן, כי אני בסטודיו שלנו. And Josh is at an undisclosed location.
מה זה undisclosed location בעברית?
מקום לא ידוע, מקום נסתר, הוא כרגע הוא רוצה להפתיע, אני רואה פלמות ברקע, אני רואה כל מיני דברים יפים, קוקוסים ודברים כאלה יפים ברקע, but I don't know where you are physically.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're doing a remote one, אנחנו עושים בשלט רחוק היום, the first ever episode that we've done outside a studio. So, תנו לנו קצת פידבק, איך זה נשמע, יש לנו פרק, ג'וש, יש לנו פרק סופר מעניין היום, אנחנו נדבר על משפטי תנאי, second conditionals, ואנחנו נדבר על חוק, כאילו החוק השני במשפטי תנאי, פלוס איך לשפר את המבטא, ג'וש ייתן כמה טריקים, you might have seen it lately on social media, many different people doing it, but Josh is the best in the world, then. I would say in the world, and I've heard you do this podcast a few times על מבטא, איך לשפר אנגלית, איך לדבר כמו אמריקאי, and זה אפילו שיפר את המבטא האפריקאי שלי, אפילו השתפר. My South African accent improved with so a little bit. I'm understandable now. People can understand me. Okay, אז just to tell them דקה intro, before we get started, אם זה פעם ראשונה שאתם מזנים לנו לפרק הזה, welcome, אנחנו בית ספר לשפות המוביל בישראל, אנחנו מלמדים אנגלית ועוד 9 שפות, אם אתם חולמים, רוצים לדבר אנגלית עם ביטחון, ואתם צריכים אנגלית לכל מטרה, בין אם זה עבודה, לימודים, נסיעה לחול, פסיכומטרי, מבחני אמיר, כל מטרה, אנחנו כאן כדי לעזור, יש לנו מורים מקצועיים, אנחנו לומדים בשיטה הכי חדשנית היום בעולם, כל המורים שלנו דוברי שפת אם, ואנחנו נשמח מאוד לעזור אם אתם תרצו לשמוע עוד פרטים על מה אנחנו עושים כאן, על הקורסים שלנו, על השיטת הוראה, עשו איתנו קשר, אנחנו זמינים גם בוואטסאפ, המספר 053-550-1976, just give us a call or drop us a WhatsApp, נשמח לדבר איתכם באופן אישי. That's about it. Let's get the show on the road, Josh.
Let's get started. Okay, so, we have gone over the ABCs quite a few times, how to, obviously the OTOt, but also when we combine certain OTOt together, we get other sounds. So an easy one that comes to mind is the sound sh, right? Like shaket in Hebrew, or wish in English, which is basically we take the sound for s, and we put it next to the letter H right in front of it, right? So SH makes the sound sh. Now, there are a few sounds actually we haven't really covered, and that's because they're sort of יוצאי דופן. מה זאת אומרת is that you don't really learn it at school. They don't really teach it כמו שצריך. So let's start off with the first sound, which is the sound of the two letters T and R. So separately, right, the sound T, T, like tafel tet, right, and then the sound R, which we know is not רד, כמו ריש בארץ, אבל ר, שאנחנו למדנו, אז דיברנו על זה לפני המון זמן, שאנחנו בעצם, we're pushing air between our teeth and our cheeks, בין השיניים והלחי, ר, right, תבחרו צד ימין או שמאל, זה לא קטע פוליטי, but we have to choose and push one, so push air between our teeth and our cheeks, but what happens when we have the two sounds together, right? So how do we say נכון באנגלית? How do we say נכון?
True.
True, right? So זה מילה, כותבים את זה T-R-U-E. Now, היינו חושבים ש-T ו-R ביחד זה תורה, right? תורה. אבל זה לא. דווקא, מתי שיש T ו-R ביחד, הם עושים את הצליל של צדיק עם צ'ופצ'יק עם הרש הזו, הרש אמריקאי, right? So instead of saying her, we say ch, כמו צדיק עם צ'ופצ'יק, true, right? So אם היינו רוצים לדמיין איך לכתוב את המילה true בעברית, היינו כותבים את זה צדיק, צ'ופצ'יק, רש ווו. true.
מגניב.
כן.
אז אנשים לא היו אומרים, ישראלים אולי, או גם לא רק ישראלים, people not native speakers, יכולים להגיד תרו,
הוא מהגרון. לא מהגרון. Got it. So that's one. The next sound we're going to go to is the sound shtun. Now, כבר דיברתי דווקא היום על אצל S ו-H שעושה את אצל ש, right? מה הקטע כאן? שיש עוד צליל שאפשר עוד אותיות שביחד הם יכולים לעשות אצל ש, אבל לא רק ש, שן בעצם. So אם אנחנו רואים את אצל T שעושה ת, ו-I ו-O ו-N, שנשמע מאוד מוזר אם אנחנו רק קוראים את זה, טיון, ככה נכתב, right? טיון, אז אנחנו קוראים את זה שן. אז מילה מאוד מאוד נפוצה שרואים זה nation, right? nation זה מדינה או עם, אז אנחנו כותבים את זה N-A-T-I-O-N. So זה נכתב nation, אבל אנחנו קוראים את זה nation. Another good word is creation. Right before this podcast, we were talking about things you can say in certain cities, but Elohim bara, right? As creation. What's a creation, Ariel?
creation, בריאה, to create, יצירה.
יצירה. יצירה, right? So creation, כתוב לנו creation, אבל אנחנו לא קוראים את זה ככה. Alright, so building off of that, we actually have something else too that's similar to the sound shun, T-I-O-N, which is the sound shun. So for all of our Sarfatim that are listening, right, we have this sound that's a little bit closer to your language, right, which is the sound j, like Jacques. I believe that's the name. Jacques, lo Jacques, Jacques, right? So, איך היינו פגים?
Jacques Chirac used to be one of the main, I think, prime minister in France, no? Jacques Chirac. Look at
Maybe.
You're good. My history is not good. I'm old.
And truthfully, as an American, we don't really pay attention to what happens in France. Sorry to all our French listeners, but that's the truth. Anyways, the sound that we're looking at is spelled S-I-A-N, right? So when we see the letters, the אותיות S-I-A-N, למרות שזה כתוב לנו, נכתב סיאן, אנחנו קוראים את זה ז'אן, או את הז'ה. So, דווקא יש את הצליל בעברית, אם אנחנו כותבים את האותיות, את האות זין עם צ'ופצ'יק, זה הופך להיות לא זה, אבל ז'ה, right? So, שוב, הצליל נקרא ז'אן, ויש מילה בשביל אסיאתית, או אסיאתי, which is Asian, right? So, המילה כתוב לנו, אסיאן, אבל אנחנו לא אומרים אסיאן, אנחנו אומרים Asian. Asian. כן. אז אלה הצלילים שרציתי לדבר עליהם היום. It's kind of interesting. I hope it helped. Something, give a little bit of more context to the language. Are you ready to move on to the next topic?
I am, but I just want to give a quick summary. So we have just true, Chef for true, which was amazing. There's one that you missed, which I wanted you to bring it here, which I think back you discussed it with me a few days ago. The one sound the DR makes biachad.
Ah, right. I'll have to add this to the list of the Quizlet as well. So, the sound D and R, right? So, thanks for reminding me, Ariel. I appreciate it. Thanks for reminding me. The sounds D and R. So, D is like dalid, duh, right? And then we know R, lo R, but R, avir bein hashenaim ve'alechi, tzad yamin o small. When we put D and R together, we don't say dur, we're actually kind of becoming a gimel with the chupchik. It's like a gimel chazak im a chupchik. So it's dra, right? So the word for trufot, v'gam samim, we say the word drugs or drug, right? So we're not saying drug, which is a kind of like a j chazak, because a j kaved, right?
וזה בכל, משהו יפה פה שזה כמעט בכל קומבינציה של המילה. לא משנה איזה מילה, doesn't matter what word, זה יהיה הצליל. אנחנו יכולים להגיד עוד כמה מילים כמו drive, לנהוג, זה גם עם ה-j, drive, לנהוג, or drunk, שיכור.
Yeah, or drag. What is, how do you say to drag in
drag זה לסחוב משהו. To drag something along.
It also means shachta, but don't smoke. Smoking is bad.
Or smoking, or it can also mean drag queen, Josh.
Or that, yeah. Or, slang, you say, what a drag, like eze basa, what a drag.
What a drag. Okay, or let's say one example with DR, dream, לחלום.
I was just going to say, to dream, right? If you will it, it is not a dream.
If you will, it's not a dream, and keep your dream of speaking English alive. That's what we do.
Live the dream.
Fulfill the dream.
Yeah.
You're a dream fella, Josh. That's what you are.
I try to be.
Okay. All right. Let's move on.
All right. So moving on to the next topic, we're going to kind of jump now to something a little bit more advanced, right? We just spoke a little bit about some sounds reading. Now I want to jump into some advanced grammar, some advanced dikduk. So we're going to talk a little bit today about some conditionals. מה זה conditional בעברית?
תנאי, תנאים, condition. תנאים זה, for example, משהו קשור למשהו, שאם זה יקרה, אז משהו אחר יקרה, או יהיה תוצאה של משהו.
Very good. So we've spoken a little bit about this in previous podcasts, maybe even a year or two ago, but I want to kind of review. Today, we're not going to talk about all the conditionals. We're going to just kind of go through briefly each one, each type, and then we're going to focus in on one of the forms. But just to kind of refresh our students, or our listeners, we have in English 4 different types of conditionals. We have the 0, efes, first, rishon, second, sheni, and third, shlishi, right? So let's just go through these very, very quickly. The 0 conditional is something we use when we're talking about a condition, a tnai, that is very, very באופן כללי. מה זאת אומרת? is that it always happens. So אם משהו תמיד קורה, אנחנו לא מדברים על זה לגבי עבר או עתיד, אנחנו מדברים על זה כמו הווה. לדוגמה, אם אתה גונב, אתה הולך לכלא, או אתה מקבל קנס, right? אם אתה עושה משהו, משהו אחר קורה. אולי זה דוגמה קצת שלי. Can you give me a positive condition that is משהו that is הווה והווה?
אם אתה מתאמן, אתה מרגיש טוב.
Exactly, that's a good one actually, right? So if you work out, you feel good. רוב הזמן, right? So that's the 0 conditional. Moving on, the first conditional, we talk about things that are klali with a totsa'a.
I just sorry to disturb you. I just want to share with you that condition does not always work. If you mitamen, you feel good. Unless you're overweight like me, then you struggle a little bit after you mitamen. But it's okay. You feel in general, it's true.
I went on a run yesterday and I honestly didn't feel that good after. So I can agree. Okay, so moving on, the first conditional, which basically is a תנאי באופן כללי, והתנאי או התוצאה השני הוא בעתיד, right? So for instance, if you invest money or if you save money, you will have more money in the future, right? If you save your money, באופן כללי, אתה חוסך כסף, יהיה לך כסף בעתיד, right? You will have money in the future. Very good. The second conditional, which is what we're going to talk about in more depth, ביותר עומק עוד מעט, is kind of interesting. We use the past and then the hypothetical. Now, זה לא עבר כמו כזה, why, like מזמן, אבל זה כזה זמן האחרונה יותר קרוב, וגם אולי משהו שזה לא זמן האחרונה, אבל בעצם משהו היפותטי, right? שיכול להיות בעתיד. אבל איך זה נכתב? זה נכתב לגבי הזמן עבר. אז מה אנחנו עושים? אנחנו עושים אם משהו בעבר, משהו הייתה היפותטי קורה. לדוגמה, if you were taller, you would be able to play for Maccabi Tel Aviv basketball team, right? So אם היית יותר גבוה, if you were, תשימו לב, were זה זמן עבר, אבל אני לא באמת מתייחס על העבר, אני מדבר באופן היפותטי, אם היית יותר גבוה, היית יכול, you would be able to, or you could, היית, you would be able to, or you could play for Maccabi Tel Aviv basketball, right? And we'll come back to that a little bit more in depth, עוד מעט, but just to show you guys, stay tuned for a different lesson. Maybe for our listeners, if it's something you want to hear more, it's very important to you guys. You can message Ariel, send hate mail my way as well, and tell us. But basically, the third conditional, which is diving into the past perfect, which is basically מתי שאנחנו מדברים על משהו היפותטי שהוא באמת מזמן. אנחנו עושים את זה מתי שאנחנו מגישים נוסטלגיה על אולי הזדמנות שפספסנו, או משהו שהיה יכול לקרות, אבל לא, לדוגמה, right?
If I practiced playing tennis every day, then I would be a professional player today.
That is second conditional. So what you would say is, if I had practice, as you're talking now about תדבר על הילדות שלך, אם היית מתאמן בגיל קטן, היום הייתם מקצוע בזה, right? So it would be more so, if I had practiced tennis every day, I would have become a professional tennis player.
Okay, so he's saying the third one is, it's fully in the hypothetical, basically.
Fully, but it's not just hypothetical, it's the past hypothetical.
The first
well, אנחנו נכנסים time machine, ואנחנו חוזרים בחזרה בזמן, we're changing something, right? That's
all right.
That's for a different podcast, maybe a few.
If you guys want to hear more about it, this is a fascinating one, כי זה באמת אחד, שגם דובר אנגלית שפתיים כמוני, we use it, but we're not aware that we're using it. So normally, even the example I gave Josh would be a typical. The second conditional is very, very common. The third conditional is when you're talking about anything which is very hypothetical. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's in summary, more or less. Did I get it spot on, Josh? I'll make sure that we're on target.
No, you're very, 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 very good, right? So second conditional, which is what we're going to talk about today, is we're talking about hypotheticals, but the מבנה is זמן עבר, אבל הוא לא בעצם תמיד מתייחס לזמן עבר, אולי זמן עבר האחרונה, like something recent. And the third conditional, which we just spoke about, which we're not going to get too much into today, is basically if we're talking about, a past opportunity מזמן, ואם זה היה שונה, היום יהיה יום אחר לגמרי, right? Something would be very different. So let's just jump into the second conditional. I want to talk a little bit about the חשבון, as some people could say, or the מבנה של המשפט, right? So, קודם כל, אנחנו משתמשים במילה if, which is like אם, לא האם, כמו שאלה מנומסת, אבל בעצם, like, האם, או אם משהו היה, אם משהו קרה, right? So we use if, and then we use the past simple. זה חשוב לדעת. אנחנו לא מדברים, well, we can do past progressive, but let's keep it past simple today, right? We're not using present. So it's not like if I go, it's if I, how do we say go בזמן עבר?
Went.
If I went, מילה אחרת לגמרי, right? So if I went to school every day, and then we have the would hypothetical plus the verb, right? So would, מה זה would? זו מילה מאוד יפה. אז would זה הרעיון של היה שלא יכולת, אבל היה היפותטי, right? בעברית היה זה יכול להיות שתי דברים. אני הייתי שמח, אני הייתי שמח. אז מה ההבדל? I was happy, בזמן עבר הייתי שמח, or I would be happy. הייתי שמח לגבי תנאי אחר.
הייתי יכול להיות שמח. That would be me, probably the better way to say in Hebrew, no? I would have been, I could have been happy.
Well, could, so that's where we don't want to confuse our listeners. Could is הייתי יכול, which is like also this יכולת של hypothetיות, right? Which is good. And we can throw that in there as well. So we use this oftentimes when we're talking about advice or about, again, things that are hypothetical that maybe, what is מה זה היפותטי? זה יכול לקרות מה, זה גם לא יכול לקרות, אבל אנחנו מתייחסים לזה כמו זה כנראה יכול לקרות, right? So let's jump down and take a look at an example, right? Just to compare all these going back, right? So the zero conditional is if you pass the exam, you feel happy, right? If you pass an exam, you feel happy. אם אתה, how do you say to pass an exam בעברית?
עובר את המבחן.
עובר את המבחן, אתה מרגיש שמח, right? So זה הווה והווה. First conditional, so that was the quote unquote, that was the zero. First conditional, If you pass the exam, you will feel happy. אם אתה עובר את המבחן, אתה תרגיש שמח, right? The second conditional, שזה, well, let's do the third קודם, so אנחנו קופצים ל-third. If you had passed the exam, you would have felt happy. אז אם היית מזמן עברת את המבחן, בפעם הזה, וגם אולי גם עכשיו, היית מרגיש שמח. Right. So that's the third. Let's not talk about that. But the second is if you passed the exam, you would feel happy. So אם עברת את המבחן, היית מרגיש שמח. שזה בעצם יכול להיות זמן עבר האחרונה קרובה, או כזה, like, בוא נגיד, עכשיו, right? אולי זה עוד מעט לא יקרה, אולי אפילו אין מבחן בכלל, right? אבל אם היה, if you passed an exam, you would feel happy. אם עברת מבחן, היית מרגיש טוב, right? מרגיש שמח. So, let's build some questions and then answer them. I would like to know, Ariel, what would you do if you received or got a birthday present that you didn't really like? What would you do? So השאלה זה מה היית עושה, היפותטי, אם קיבלת, שוב, קיבלת זה זמן עבר, ואנחנו לא מדברים על זמן עבר, אנחנו מדברים מצב היפותטי, if you received a birthday present that you didn't like.
If I received a birthday present I didn't like, I would still say thank you.
Very good. You know, I remember when I was a younger kid, maybe like 6, I got a birthday present, a gift box, dafka, and there was a journal. It was a bunch of chocolates and stuff. And there was a journal, got something to write in, and on the cover was a picture of a cute baby. And, you know, as a 6-year-old boy, I thought it was not cool. So I said, I will take everything except for the journal. And the person it was a teacher that gave it to me. And she said, you know what? Just for that, you're not getting anything. And I learned my lesson.
There's a saying, there's like an idiom in I think it's in Spanish, where you get a gift, you don't judge a horse by its teeth.
Well, and so in English we have that. We say, don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Don't look a gift. Yeah, similar. Exactly. So similar type of idiom. Okay, that's cool. Let's go to the next example.
This is a good one. I want to know, what would you do if you saw your best friend stealing? Was it steal? Was it to steal?
No.
No.
These are some difficult questions.
Yeah, well, it shouldn't be difficult, Ariel. This is very clear cut. Stealing is bad.
Stealing is bad. If I saw my best friend stealing, I would pretend that I'm blind. I'm joking.
Good one. If I saw my best friend stealing, I would tell him that it is not a good thing and he should put it back.
And if you told your friend that you should put it back and he got angry, what did you do?
That's it. So we're building, but true, even though this is kind of funny, it's truthfully you're building off this very well, right? So if I saw my friend stealing and I told him not to, and he got mad at me, I would, wow, you're putting me in an ethical dilemma. I think I'll have to approach this as an American. Is it from at least the Biden administration? Is it under $300 worth of stuff? I would do my best to try to convince him to put the item back. And let's leave it at that. Let's not, we don't have to go any further, any deeper.
Perfect. And if you had convinced him to put the item back, and he didn't put that, no, I'm kidding. All right, so, כמו שאתם רואים, אנחנו יכולים פה להיכנס עמוק לתוך המצב ההיפותטי, והאמת, when I'm thinking about it deeply, Josh, it's highly used. I mean, this could...
So much used to it.
Especially brainstorming. When you're thinking of developing something or project, you got to run through the different hypothetical situations that could work out. Could be the result. I will share with you something interesting to round off. How many more examples do you want to share with us, Josh?
We have one other. Let's see, where is it? Is it? Yes, right there. So I would like to know, what would you do if you were a famous actor, what would you... Okay, no, let me rephrase it. What type of movies would you make if you were a famous and wealthy movie director?
You want to hear the Trump version or the regular version?
Whichever you think our listeners will enjoy more.
All right. So if I was a famous director, I would make movies like, let's say, Schindler's List, which is important to keep the Holocaust going.
Okay.
The memory of it. I would make one about Jewish history, which I think is important. And I would make movies like Robin Williams used to make, one of my favorite actors, that have a message, a deep message to it. Let's say I watched recently another old movie, which I like, called Awakening on Netflix with Robin Williams. He was an amazing actor because he was also funny, talented, and let's say the movies from 20 years ago had a deep underlying message. So they were both drama, thriller, whatever it was. It had some kind of, it would resonate in a way. So it would be interesting, that's the sort of where I would go if I had been famous. If I was a famous actor, a movie star, I would make movies the style of Robin Williams.
Very good. I think I'm a bit more business-minded in this case. If I was a famous and successful movie director with all of the resources that I could have, the best business idea would be I would make a movie that flushes out and explains Skibbity Toilet. I'll make billions.
You make billions just sharing it to everyone who's over 30, understanding what it means. I still don't, I think you explained to me once or twice and I still don't understand it, even though it's out of a trend already.
Yeah, well, we'll bring it back.
We'll bring it back. All right, Josh, so a quick question to round today's podcast off. איך אנחנו יודעים איפה לשים את הווד ואת הפועל בזמן עבר?
That's a wonderful question, actually. So basically, we have to think about, קודם כל, כל השאלה וכל הביטוי זה משהו היפותטי, right? אבל בגלל שזה תנאים, נכון? יש כזה קטע ראשון, והקטע שני שהוא בעצם מבוסס ובונה על הקטע הראשון. So I'll give an example, right? If we flew to Mars, do you think we would find Martians? נכון? Martians זה חייזרים שגרים במארס, right? So מה הקטע? שניהם מאוד היפותטי, אבל תחשוב על מה יותר היפותטי. ללכת למארס או ללכת למארס ולמצוא חייזרים, right? So there's always one thing that is a little bit more hypothetical than the second one. And that thing we always give the would to, נכון? כי זה החלק היותר, again, hypothetical, וזה תמיד מבוסס על התנאי הראשון, right? And and it doesn't necessarily mean the setter, right? Do you think we would find aliens if we flew to Mars, right? זה עדיין עובד, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, great. Perfect. That makes perfect sense. Okay. So we're going to be back again next week. Josh, it was a pleasure having you on board for this remote podcast. We'll be back again next week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please get in touch with us on 053-550-1976. Drop us a WhatsApp or give us a call. Remember, what's the most difficult step or process in learning English? What is the most difficult, Josh?
Getting started.
Amazing. That is, actually, you could have said it better. All right, so that's it. Thank you. We'll be back. Thank you, and bye-bye.